I know we've only known each other for 4 weeks and 3 days, but to me, it seems like 9 weeks and 5 days.
All right. Here we are, all of my passionate plant people and garden enthusiasts. Welcome to the Urban Gardener channel and the Sunday edition of the Let's Get Growing show. Thank you all so much for joining with us here today. We've got a great show ahead of you today. We've got some of our great friends been around for some of our garden roundtable. A little bit later on today in the show, our good friends Khang Starr from Texas and Christopher Brandsdal, all the way up from Norway, joining with us again today to talk all about what's going on. We're catching up with them throughout the gardening season here on the Let's Get Growing show. Really good friends of mine, people I've been talking with here on the Urban Gardener channel for years now. So we're continuing our conversation throughout this growing season, and it's great to welcome them back again here after a little while. So we'll catch up with them here just a little bit later in the show. But if you are all joining with me here right now at the top of the show, if you can, please click that like button, hit the thumbs up, and also subscribe. Subscribe if you haven't yet already. Hit the bell notification so you'll be notified of all of our upcoming videos and live streams. Plus, share with all your friends. Get the word out to all of your gardening friends out there. Let them know all about the Let's Get Growing show here on the weekends. We're here every Saturday and Sunday, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern. And we just love having all of you join with us. So make sure you share with all of your friends and let them know so we can get as many people out here checking out what we've got going on. We have fun, awesome conversations every single weekend with all sorts of great gardeners out there in the gardening community. And today is no different. All right. And also at the top of the show, I want to give you all a big, huge shout out who are watching our replay right now. A lot of you don't have the time to come and join us live. And I understand that I live a busy life too. I know what it's like. So, if you get a chance to watch us whenever you can, I really, really appreciate that as well. But do remember, try to show up if you can live. It'll be really, really awesome. But and we'll see you then. And if you can, also jump into the comment section down below. Leave us a comment there and let us know you're here. Let us know what you got growing on, and all of that sort of stuff as well too. So great. Awesome. Thank you all so much. Let's see if you do have any questions or comments or anything at all for our guests coming up here just a little bit later on the show, or for me or anything like that. Jump into our comment section there and let us know what kind of questions you got. We'll try to drop those into the conversation when we can, if we can. And we try to get to everybody, but definitely drop in some questions and all of that a little bit here when we get our guests on the show. And as well too, I want to let you all know about our gardening group. There's a link right down below in the description to that as well too. Our gardening group, the Let's Get Growing group, is on Facebook, and it's a really great place for you to kind of continue the conversation here from the show onto our Facebook group. And also too, I'll just let you know, on yesterday's show, I did kind of a fun little kind of garden tour, slideshow, that sort of thing as well too. And I was mentioning to everybody that, I get the opportunity to show everybody all these pictures and show you all what's growing on in my garden and all of that. I want to see what you've got growing on. So the Facebook group is a great place for you to be able to go and show and share all of your gardening, all your gardens as well too, here on for our Let's Get Growing community. So go and join with us there. It'd be great to have you all join with us. So awesome. Again, thank you all so much for joining with me here today. What a great day today. Let's see who we've got in the chat with us today right now. Let's jump right in there. And right off the top of the show, we definitely do want to give a huge shout out to our facilitator, Jay Dixon, joining us from Midwestern Ontario, Canada. Awesome. Thank you, Jay, for everything you do for the show. Thank you for being here today. Awesome. Also, we've got joining with us again as from the future in Australia, sleepy Sydney, Australia. We got Rick joining with us again. Thank you, Rick, for getting up nice and early to join with us here on the show. It's really great to have you. Dusty Flats, awesome to see you here. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining with us. And our other moderator, Adam, joining me from right down the road here in Central Point, Oregon. Adam, thank you so much for joining with us here on the show. It's great to see you. All right. Let's see here. Oh, and of course, look at that. Jumping into the chat nice and early before we get to the conversation. We got our good friend Christopher. Good evening, Christopher. It's nice and late in the evening for Christopher. We're getting our day started over here on the West Coast, and Christopher's getting ready for bed. So good thing he's staying up for a conversation with us here. Right on. Excellent. Let's see here. And I see we've got let's see. Oh, Dusty was saying here, it's turning into a blister here until Wednesday or so, predicting 105 plus degree heat index in Wisconsin. Oh my gosh, 105 degrees. That is amazing. That's good for you guys. I understand that's going to be insufferable for sure. We have just kind of gone through a little bit of a kind of a weird cool cycle here in Southern Oregon. This is something I don't know if I've ever seen here, and especially over the last few years. We have had like record breaking high temperatures, more 100-degree days than we ever have over the last couple of summers. But the last week dipped down to below 20 degrees below average around here. And so we've all been kind of cooling off a little bit and taking advantage of it. But it is about to start getting hot again. Summer hasn't left us quite yet. So, so it was a nice little break, but again, it's about to start getting nice and warm again. So let's see here. We got Darth X talking. He said, "Send the heat to me for the next 3 months. I can grow some peppers and okra." I know. It's something else when we could see the difference between each other's different weather that we're all dealing with and everything too. So sometimes it can be kind of crazy the differences that we're all seeing and everything too. But yeah. Let's see here. All right. And then let's see. Dusty Flat says one more time. We just had a nice fall week, and now this sweltering humidity and heat. Fall plantings are not liking this. Yeah, see, that's kind of one of the things that I find to be a sort of challenge for me in the most part as well, too. In fact, our in the garden segment, we're going to kind of revisit a segment that Mark did because it's about that time. And for some people, that time's already been a week or two ago, but we're doing fall planting. We're getting seeds started. We're getting things going so that we can start doing some fall crops and all that sort of stuff. And then you've really got to kind of time it out based on when's the heat going to start, cooling down into fall. So you want to make that timing just right. So I don't know. It seems to be different. It's really hard to do because weather patterns are always changing. They're always doing different things. So that's just the nature of things in gardening. We're always kind of dealing with new or different things, and especially as far as weather is concerned and how we are timing out our garden for sure. So yeah. Let's see. So again, thank you everybody for joining with us here today. Lots and lots of things growing on here. Again, like I said, I'm trying to work on getting some crops and things get started for my fall plant gardening, while at the same time start, keeping along with everything. As I mentioned, with the weather changing or getting and dipping down like it did, and we got a big major storm in last week. In fact, we couldn't do our Sunday show or Saturday show last week because there was a storm, knocked out the power and everything last week. We had lots of rain, and then it actually rained like about a day or so ago and gave us a little bit more rain. So that was really nice right in the middle of summer during the height of our wildfire season. So it was like perfect timing for that to happen. But yes, everything out there right now just looks amazing and looks awesome and green and is flourishing, and it's just it's taken advantage of this kind of weather break as well too. So that's really something awesome about this situation that we have right now. As I said on yesterday's show, you can go check that out. I went and I showed everybody my garden from uh, this last week, and show you all the sort of different things that we've got growing on in there and all that too. All right, all right. Again, let's see here too. I just also want to mention real quick here, do a real kind of rundown here for a moment. Last Sunday edition of the show was our third Sunday of the month, and on the third Sunday of the month, we invite an author on with us to talk all about their books in our monthly gardening book club. And this last month and last week, we talked with Karen Hugh. Leave Your Troubles Behind was her book, and just a really great book, great conversation. I really encourage you all to go back and check out that show as well too. This monthly gardening book club, like I was saying yesterday too, has just really, really been something else. This has probably been one of the best features of the new show that we've been doing this year, is our gardening book club, because it's just, it's just unlike all of those other, regular book clubs, where we're getting together, we're reading books, we're getting together in each other's living rooms, and we're talking about and kind of like, going over with each other what we think with the book and all of that is. But this is just a little twist on a gardening book club, because we get the opportunity to be able to invite the authors onto the show with us, and I say with us too, because another great thing about this gardening book club is I'm not the only host either. We've got my good friend Mark Boucher Colbert joining with us as a co-host for our gardening book club too. But we get to talk, me and Mark, with these authors and talk all about these books. Mark and I just love books in general, but gardening books, especially for two big gardeners like ourselves. And so to be able to get to talk with and have discussions with the authors themselves and talk about their books is just really, really amazing. So again, I hope you all take advantage of that. Next month, though, this is the thing. You want to also come and join with us on those third Sundays of the month for our gardening book club, because at the end of the book club meeting, when we're done, we finish off the show, Mark and I, talking about what is going to be our next book of the month. So we'll introduce the next book of the month. And not only that, we'll give a copy of that book away to one of the viewers as well, too. And that's what we've been doing through our first 5 book of the month clubs so far. And you'll want to come and join us for our next book of the month club. This will be September 15th, the third Sunday of the month. Remember that, third Sunday of the month, September 15th. And we will have with us Marta McDowell. Now, Marta McDowell's written a lot of great books in the gardening community, and we are going to kind of, do something a little thematic in our season right now here in the U.S. We are going through our election season, and so I thought it would be fun to get together with Marta and talk about her book, All the President's Gardens. This book is really fun. I've been already getting started in this book and really enjoying some real historical looks into one of the great properties of the United States, where it's just since the very beginning, just amazing gardens, and gardens that transition right along with our presidents. Each president brings in their new look or new thoughts, and mostly maybe the first ladies. Let's really get real here. A lot of it's the first ladies who are getting in there and shaping out these gardens around the White House and everything. I got to go to the White House many years ago and got to see that, right out front. They got the big old gate right out front, and the White House is just right straight back there. But everything between that gate and the White House is just these amazing grounds, and you can just see the gardens and the landscaping and the trees and all these different things everywhere. And then just to imagine if you could actually get access to, and I didn't get that far into the White House, but to go around and actually get to walk through some of those gardens and everything too. I mean, that's just really, really something. And one of the things is that it's just really fun to kind of look at those sort of things when it comes to things that we've got going on in our traditions here in the United States as we are going through our election cycle right now. And again, too, I will mention this is no politics at all in this discussion. We are not covering any current people running for president or anything like that as well, too. So it's all kind of a good historical look throughout the years of the White House Garden. So again, encourage you all, come check that out. This is going to be a really, really fun one. I'll tell you the one question I'm really interested in talking to Mara about, and maybe even as I get further in the book, is maybe learning a little bit more about. I read a story not too long ago where there is, and I don't know, I would hate to be this groundkeeper or gardener at the White House who has to make these kind of decisions, but I guess there was something that happened to one of these trees, and I'm not sure if it was planted by Thomas Jefferson. I think it might have been Jefferson. But one of their trees was had some disease or was dying or something like that, and they had to make the decision of removing and taking down Thomas Jefferson's trees. Could you imagine having to make that decision? Could you imagine being that one? So I can't wait to talk all about that with Marta when we get to it. So also, real quick, too, I will mention we did talk yesterday. We had a discussion with our good friend John Kohler from Growing Your Greens on yesterday's show, as well as that garden tour. I really hope that you all go back and check that out as well, too. So again, thank you all so much for joining with us today. And like I said, we are right now at this moment where we're trying to move on towards, not really move on. I mean, we still got a lot growing on. We still got a lot going on, plenty of harvest, all that sort of stuff going into fall. But we're trying to kind of transition towards fall crops and what we're going to be planting and growing, into the fall and into the cooler seasons as we're heading more closer to winter and through winter even. So there's a lot of things I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing, when I'm going to plant, timing, all that sort of stuff. Those questions I got to do. But I thought this In the Garden segment from our good friend Mark Boucher Colbert would be a great segment to kind of look back on, because he's talking about, indoor seed starting and indoor things. This is a really good place, especially if you're in hot places. We got to get some of these seed started indoors. So I thought this would be a great In the Garden segment for this Sunday. I hope you guys enjoy.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of In the Garden with MBC. I'm Mark Boucher Colbert, the MBC that we're talking about there, and I'm your host here. Today I want to just jump right in. I'm in my basement grow room. I want to show you around a little bit, and I want to talk through some of the things that are important to get our season going, to allow us to grow good quality transplants. Also, I use this room to grow microgreens and some kale and baby lettuces all year long. So I'm harvesting out of my grow room all year long. It's a multi-purpose space. One of the cool things about growing indoors is, especially in your home, is that you already have the heat piece taken care of. You're basically creating ideal temperatures for most garden vegetables. So that's just a given. You're creating it because you want the comfort, but the plants can benefit from that as well. The only other thing we really need to provide then that we're missing from the outdoor environment is the light. So let's get right into light and talk a little bit about that, because I think this is one of the most crucial elements to establishing a grow space, whether it's just a little counter space on your desk, and I'll show you a light that's suited for that, or whether it's kind of a bigger commercial style operation like this rack system. I grew microgreens for the last 5 years, and I had a much bigger space. I've recently had to downsize, unfortunately, but I still preserve some of my equipment, and I want to show you some of that. So this is a kind of a commercial style setup using a 4-bar LED system. LED stands for light emitting diode, and you can see it's a very clean, bright light. This is a kind of a therapeutic place to be during the winter. Out here in the Pacific Northwest, we get the winter blahs, gray skies, the rain, and just to come down here is really an amazing spot. Also down below, you can hear that water going. I do have a little aquaponics setup. It's not a full circulating setup, but I have a couple of goldfish in a garbage can. I have another kind of a sump area that collects water and circulates it around. It does get pumped up to this, which is full of some clay pellets. which provides a place for bacteria to convert fish wastes to nitrates. And then I just scoop out water and water my plants with that, and then refill with, deconditioned tap water. So there is a little cycle going on here where I have some fish involved in the process, kind of doing an indoor hydroponic setup. Let's look over here though. This is a small setup. Let me tilt that down so you can kind of get a sense of what's going on there. This is really just a kitchen counter LED setup that I love. It's compact. Again, the quality of light is beautiful. You can see the plants are thriving. Here I have broccoli microgreens that I'm just about to eat tonight and tomorrow. We're going to harvest those. So that's a really lovely setup and really could be put anywhere in the home. What I'm going to show you is some of the light itself. Here we see a lot of white, but we see the red and blue that's characteristic of a lot of plant lights. Why is red and blue light important? Well, red and blue light are the kinds of light that plants actually respond to the best. If we think of the full spectrum visible light, we can think of the rainbow, right? Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Plants are optimized to take advantage of the red and the blue light at the far ends of the spectrum. Human eyes, on the contrary, are optimized to take advantage of the middle of the spectrum. We're kind of middle of the road green, yellow creatures. So this is why ordinary normal house lights, which are optimized for our vision, don't work very well for plants. When you're selecting a plant light, you want to make sure you're getting something that says full spectrum, because that's going to have the range of blues and reds that are needed to grow plants well. You can grow plants under a lot of different kinds of lights. When I started my farming career, I used just plain old bluish shop lights. I did need to keep them very close to the plant, so that was a key part of a light like that is a much weaker light. It doesn't have the output of these LEDs. So light is, it's in addition to be a wave, it's a particle. So basically, I think of spitting watermelon seeds. Like whatever the light source is, it's spitting out these photons. And ordinary shop fluorescents are very weak spitters. They don't spit that many photons. Whereas these LEDs are powerful spitters. They're throwing down a lot of photons, so you don't need to have the lights as close. Indeed, over here, I have my plants a full 2 feet under the lights, and they're still growing great. All right, so light is really important. Get the light right. You're going to be well on the way. Next thing that's important, obviously, for my plants is soil. So I mix my own potting soil right here. I have this handy little tray that keeps things kind of neat and tidy. And I have some rubber gloves that I don't have here for mixing. And then I also have this lovely stainless steel scoop. This is really handy for measuring my recipe. Basically, I do a 3-3-2-1. 3 parts of my own compost, 3 parts of coconut fiber, 2 parts of pumice, and 1 part of finished earthworm castings. So I'm providing some of my own material there in my own household compost that I sift. And then I'm also relying on other bagged products that I get at my local nursery. But using a scoop, I just use this as my standard measure. We're all good. Mix it up in here. I do use a variety of different trays and pots. You've seen these green ones with the broccoli. Here I'm actually sprouting some ginger, so that'll be kind of fun. I use trays like this, heavy-duty plastic trays that have a nice big hole in the bottom. When that start is ready, you can just pop the whole thing out. Comes out as a nice little block. I have used soil blocks. I don't have a soil block maker here, but I do use that at school. Here's a nice little tray of kale, by the way, that's coming up very well. And then I use coconut fiber pots as well. Like here I have a number of peas ready to go. These are golden sweet. I'm looking forward to those. Those are for the rooftop garden at Noble Rot. And when they're ready, I'll just pop them in. You can see some substantial root growth already. They really have another day or two under the lights. And these guys are going to go outside for a transition period and then up to the Noble Rot. That is one thing to remember. You've got to, when you're growing under lights indoors, you've got to provide some kind of a transition period, especially as we get into the summer, because the summer sun is so much harsher than these lights, so much more powerful. that you can get sunburn and sun scald if you just bring your plants out right away. So you need to kind of accustom them as you get them out of the grow room. Let's talk about what I can grow year round. You'll notice that I have one big container. This is a hefty bugger, but up to starting from yesterday, I had 3 of these prior to yesterday, I should say. But now 2 of them I had to take outside because I'm kicking them out. I need the space. But you can see I've got a dwarf curly kale here. I've got some cilantro. Also got some basil coming up. And I have been harvesting off this kale for months now. It just keeps coming, and I cut the outer leaves. I give it a dilute fertilization once a week with some fish fertilizer. And everything looks vibrant and nice. It's growing really well. So these crops, like I said, I've been harvesting off this kale all season long. That's a very sturdy shelf, by the way, because that's really heavy. And the microgreens, for example, this is part of my strategy to just provide nutrition year round. Once you make an investment in these lights, no point in just keeping it for just the spring season, right? You can keep the lights going, you can keep certain things growing in the very even, predictable environment indoors. That's another really big plus. You don't get severe wind here. You don't get severe drought. You control it. You keep it going. You'll see that a lot of my containers are in trays as well. And this allows me to bottom water. I can just fill in water in the tray. There's really no mess. And then the plants soak that up. And when I see that it's dry again, I can fill it up again. So a lot of bottom watering keeps things neater and tidier in the grow room. Let me show you a few other tools that I have and that make life easier. I really like a small pair of scissors like this. Helps me thin out plantings. So here, for example, that little tray of kale again. I've seeded 3 or 4 seeds per. The seed is very vigorous because you can see pretty much everything came up as intended. And often during the first thinning, I'm going to cut to 2 seeds per cell. And then I'm going to wait and watch and make sure I get a good viable, whichever one is most viable when I'm ready to transplant. So little scissors like this are really essential. I do a lot of thinning in the grow room. That's really important. Let's see what else we got. We got a host of other little tools. We got a sprayer. I was going to spray you, but then I think that could be counterproductive. For misting, this one actually is the best one I've ever found. HDX sprayer. I think it's offered through Home Depot. It's wide mouth for easy filling. That makes a difference when you stick this thing in a water source and you're waiting for it to fill up. And it advertises it can spray at any angle. I have found that to be true. So it makes a nice mist. After I put my seeds on top of my potting mix, I'm often misting them, and then I'll cover them with a little bit of coconut fiber. This is one of my favorites, some tongs. Got these at a local pet shop for feeding crickets to your reptiles. But I find they have 100 uses in the grow room. You can thin plants out with them. You can kind of ream holes if you want to, when you're transplanting things. I also like these little stainless steel tools and such. These are some of the little ancillary items that help make things function smoothly in the grow room. Anyway, there's a million things we could talk about. We're limited in time. We're going to talk more about all this kind of stuff. You'll be seeing some of these tools again out in the field at the Noble Restaurant where I garden on the roof, and at the school garden, Franciscan Montessori Earth School, where I also garden. So we'll talk about some of these things again. Anyway, I'm just wishing you a great start to your garden season. I hope you got a grow room set up. Hope you got some little area that you can claim, and let's just get growing. That's what this program's all about, right? All right, we'll see you next week.
All right. Another great segment from our good friend Mark Boucher Colbert there too. Again, kind of a revisit. This is one that he did for us a little while back ago. But again, I thought it would be kind of cool to kind of get into the indoor grow room, talk about that sort of stuff as we're just kind of at that phase where we're probably getting some things started. Maybe you already got some things started or you haven't yet, but I thought there'd be some good information there for some indoor growing that'll help us get growing there too. You know, all sorts of great stuff. All right. So again, thank you all so much for joining with us here today. I see that we got Jersey Girl back back here joining with us again. Awesome to see you, Jersey. Thanks for joining in. Also, we got Girl Dad Cooking Up Deliciousness. That's a great title. I like that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm a girl dad too, so I love it. I love it. Good afternoon. And we got our guest Khang Starr waiting in the wings right now. He's saying hello to everybody there too. So right on. Thank you, Khang. Thank you guys for joining with us today. Let's see here. Also, what are we talking about here? Saw something here I want to mention. Oh my. Maybe I lost it. I don't know. That's the fun of trying to keep up with this all there. Oh, here we go. This is it. Dusty was saying, this year been stuck inside because of heat, humidity, and mosquitoes. The mosquitoes left the heat and humidity. Return. Mother Nature laughs. That's kind of like what we were talking about just a little bit earlier too, right? As much as we try to get things and figure out timing and we get all that sort of stuff and we make our plans, Mother Nature always has a different idea for us. Right on, everybody. So it's a great show today. I love seeing everybody in here in the chat. Everybody keep it up. We're going to keep on moving along here today. Right when we get back, we're going to talk with our good friends, Khang Starr and Christopher Brandsdal. All right. Excellent. So let's see. Last time I had Christopher and Khang on, I'm still trying to do this. So this might not be the actual one yet, but I just say we tried an introduction for this gardening roundtable last time. It didn't do too well. It was funny. It was great. And I thought it was appropriate, but I ended up having to go back through the YouTube thing and actually blank it out because YouTube did not like the fact that I was using Monty Python's content. So, so let's try this one for today for our gardening roundtable. All right. And let's welcome our friends Christopher Brandsdal and Khang Starr to the show. Let's flip that right. There we go. Excellent. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Doing great. Awesome. Good to have you guys here with us today. So again, we've been kind of getting a chance to, this is different. Most of the time we're usually getting together once a year during springtime and kind of launching the season off. And I thought, we got you back again for this year. And then I was thinking, we got the Sunday edition. We're trying to do this roundtable. Why don't I catch up with my good friends every couple months or so, every few weeks, and throughout the season, kind of see how things are growing and get a nice, fun conversation throughout the year with you guys. So, all right, we'll start with Khang there. Why don't you let us know how everything's growing since we talked to you last?
Oh man, still the weather is pretty bad here. Dry, really dry and hot.
Yeah.
The garden's struggling like crazy. My fruit trees are doing great. I brought a fruit to show you guys that I picked today. Look at this.
Oh yes.
This is my Shinko pear.
Oh no.
And, oh my! I gave a bunch of pears away this year because I couldn't eat them all.
Yeah.
And I gave like hundreds and hundreds of them away. And the people keep asking for more because it's like they've never had anything this sweet or this juicy or this good before, compared to the stores.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, do you have any more? And I bring it to work for some of the colleagues there, and they're like, oh my goodness, what is this?
Right. Well, that's awesome. It's great to see that all the trees are producing really well, because that's something you've been really working on over the last couple of seasons and getting those trees going. I need to get some of those. I'm gonna have to pay for some shipping and handling or something. Have you box me some of those up here or something? Those look really delicious. I was showing on the show yesterday our peach tree that we've got in the container out there. And I think I've mentioned to you guys before, that I grow these peach tree, apple trees. I got a few of them and they're all in containers, but my favorite is the peach. I love the peaches. Last year wasn't a very good year. The year before was amazing. And this year's kind of in between those 2 years. I did get a bunch of good ones, some really nice, juicy ones that I was showing everybody yesterday on the show. And I must have just totally gorged myself with as many of them as I could last night too. So I'm kind of on a peach hangover today. How's it going for you, Christopher? How's everything been growing there? I know you got a little bit of going on. You're on a working towards getting things really growing and stuff, but I'm sure you still got some stuff going on.
So you're on morning and summer, and I'm on winter and evening.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. Your season's probably very fastly cooling down, huh?
Yeah, for us, it's just harvest whatever you have and buckle down. It's nothing else to do. It's getting colder, it's getting windy, and it's not good. Nothing is growing, so everything is just slowing down, and some of the peppers are still ripening, and we still actually have cucumbers, and but it's really at the end of the season now, and within a couple of weeks we are going to have nights that are getting close to frost, so that really stops whatever is going on in the greenhouse in the daytime. It's it's not good.
Yeah.
So we're slowly winding down, but it's harvest time, so it's kind of a good season, or part of the season also. We have new tomatoes every single day, and peppers and cucumbers, so and even the damn ground cherries.
Oh. Yeah. Huh.
Those were the ones that I got from you, Khang, and I grew them a few years ago, and ever since they've been just coming back up in the grow room now, or in the greenhouse. So I have been just weeding out most of it and just let one. Yeah,
there you go.
I could also have a bunch of them now if I went out to the greenhouse. So I let one or two grow every single year, and it seems like that there's no way to ever get rid of it. But just in case, I saved some seeds this year just to make sure that if I really get into the weeding, then I won't lose it. So, but that it's such a strange thing, because it's the only thing that just grows. I just can't get rid of it, and it's fascinating because it's really not native up here. So it's interesting to see it really likes the greenhouse, and there's just no way to get rid of it.
Just no way, huh?
No.
Oh.
So yeah, it's a nice season, but the fun thing now for me is getting closer with the new grow room. So they have poured the concrete, they closed out the garage door, they put in new doors and everything, and now they're coming and doing, because I've had some issues with moisture getting through the walls, because this is a out part of our house, and it used to be a garage, and in the garage nobody noticed that it was actually, the walls were sweating when it was raining outside. So I have to make sure that they redo the walls, the concrete walls on the outside first.
Yeah.
And
so what does that do, like, if it freezes, because you guys are in the cold? So
yeah, that's not good. But it's we don't have the problem that it's freezing, warm, freezing, cold. We don't have that. We get freezing and it stays freezing. So
yeah.
So it's not the problem with raining in the wintertime. We don't have that. It's only snow. So it hasn't been a big deal. This room was built 45 years ago or something. So it's been a problem that's slowly been getting a little bit worse. And now when we try to really redo the room, it comes back to haunt us, and it shows more. So I need to get that finished, and they're going to start tomorrow with that work. So hopefully that will be done, and we can place a large industrial dehumidifier, or what's it called? and
thank you.
clear out the room, and
Yeah.
they will put epoxy on the flooring and a little bit up on the walls, so I can do all my hydroponics and everything without having the problem of spilling things. It's I
Oh
can
yeah,
just
yeah.
fill like this with water in the whole
I
room, and
know.
yeah.
That's very
So
great.
so I am so excited about that. It's going to be such a great room, and I'm every single time I take on a project, and it takes a little bit more time due to you're waiting for people to come and finish, and there's problems showing up. I get more time to think what I want to do with the room, and that always makes the project larger. so
Yeah.
yeah, but getting close. Next
Yeah.
next time, I think I can show you.
That's great. Awesome. Awesome. I know you're talking all about it so far this year and this season, and it's really exciting. I'm really excited for you, and again for the rest of us who hopefully down the road will start to get to follow along and see all of this really great stuff that really, I mean, and we kind of touched on this last time too, is that, you know, just the things you're able to grow and what you're able to do up there, I think is just so amazing, and really just, I think it's going to be great content for people coming up in the future for stuff when you're really able to get to do that full time in a really good room like you're looking forward to doing. That's just exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be fun getting back into it. I've been away from indoor gardening for 2 years now. So
Yeah.
I've been doing indoor gardening. I have my galangal and I have the citrus and stuff like that, but it's not indoor gardening. It's
Yeah.
just house plants more or
Yeah.
less.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to getting back to it. And now it really turns out that my wife is missing it also, because
Oh.
she's used to have coriander or cilantro. She's used to have
There you
basil.
go.
She's used to have
Exactly.
all those sorts of things all year long. And
Yeah.
now she has to buy everything at the store. And yeah, yeah, maybe it was a good time to take a couple of years off to see that it really needed.
Yeah. Excellent. That's awesome. 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 Right on. Right on. So, how are things going? Because you have another totally separate property, right, King? Where you're growing at, where most of all your trees and all that sort of stuff is, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah. How's that all going along?
I went out there last week. Oh man, it's the tree are like about to die. You know, it's so dry out there. I was trying to drill, you know, I was trying to dig into the soil, and it was so hard because it's been dry for like a few months.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can't even get down into the soil. That's how bad it was. And the
Oh wow.
trees, there's certain ones that are really rough and tough. You know, those jujubes,
Yeah.
I mean, I think they can live like without water for like 6 months.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
the pear trees, they're kind of struggling. The figs, oh man, they're dying from the tips down, you know.
Oh yeah.
And the persimmons are still hanging in there. So I'm hoping for rain within the next few weeks, you know, or else it'll be dead.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. Is there some sort of like plan for maybe an irrigation system or some sort of thing like that that you got for the future as well on that?
Yes, so we do have water out there. I just need to
Okay.
set up a system for the trees. I haven't gotten around to doing it because I was just testing around right now
Yeah,
and
yeah.
to see if the trees can live on their own.
That's a good idea.
So far, it's pretty rough for the past few years. It's kind of consistent that we don't get rain from June until probably September.
Yeah. That's usually the case for us here too.
Yeah.
Luckily we got ourselves a nice little rainstorm in this last week, which was really nice, but that's usually the case for us as well too here, that things can really dry out. And in fact, I last time you guys were on, we were talking about some of my container figs, and I got all these different figs. I've got one of them which was doing so well this year and everything. And then similar to I overlooked, I did something, I don't know what it was, but man, that thing got dry. And it, like you were saying with your figs, they were just kind of all the leaves, everything. And then I come around the one day to look, and I'm like, what happened? What did I do? I was so bummed. Oh my gosh. It's one of those ones you fall on your knees. What did I do? You poor thing.
Speaking of figs, sometimes it does that, but in the bottom is still alive, so it'll grow back once you fix the condition.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, it's actually got some new leaves. I was trying to like spray it out and everything too, and but so in the long run, I just had some good leaf curl, and then a couple of like the older bottom leaves basically just died off because it was just too much for them. But yeah, it looks somewhat okay now.
And I did some air laying. Remember, we talked about it last time. I did some air laying on figs. I got around 3 trees right now just from that one tree. So they're all just as big as the each other because I air layered it. And then there's one that we talked about where I made a video for Chris about the hydroponic fig. And that one's doing so well, Chris. You got to do one.
You got to do one, huh? It's way to go, huh?
The hydroponic fig.
Yeah,
we need to test that.
Yeah, I just actually
it's on the list.
And I got some of my I did take off a couple of because I'm finally starting to get some of my Chicago figs ripening up. So I've took off the first couple of those this last week too, and I'm sure it's just going to start coming up now too. I'll probably grab a couple off of them every few days now too. So it's really great. Love the figs. I was interviewing another good friend of mine, John Kohler, yesterday on the show, and I was mentioning to everybody on the show that was my very first fig that I ever got to eat, was a fig out of John Kohler's first front yard tree. And his fig tree is massive too. It's just a big massive tree and just has tons and tons of figs on it. But that was my very first fig I ever got to eat, was one of those. Can't even remember which one. I have to ask which one that was. Back. No, you don't. I'm telling you, I love them. It was the biggest surprise because, again, I'm just standard American diet kind of guy. You know what I mean? That's what I was raised on. So figs were Fig Newtons to me growing up. You know what I mean?
That's not the same.
It's nowhere near the same. Absolutely. And that was what I learned and discovered that day when I was eating these, because to me, I was like, figs. I was like, okay, that's interesting. I like Fig Newtons, and this is a process going on in my mind, And then and I remember he grabbed one on for himself, and then he just ripped it open first before I ate it, and just showed me what the inside looked like, and it just, I don't know why, but it just looked delicious, and it was. And from there, again, like you said, just big fan. And that's when I was like, okay, I got to start growing figs. I got to start getting some of those growing myself. And I wasn't successful the first round I tried, but everything now is going, and I should be having figs every year from now on. So that's for sure.
I have planned on grafting figs next year. So I'm going to do that just like the pears. Get all different varieties on the same tree.
Yeah, is there a specific variety that you prefer, or that you're grafting for your area? Or are you just trying to graft, or are you doing just experimenting with different varieties?
So right now, I think I've chosen the the Desert King.
Desert King, yeah.
Because it gets pretty big, it grows easily, and it grows pretty fast. Kind of somewhat drought tolerant too. So
that's
and then
good.
I got Ronde de Bordeaux that I'm growing right now, and I got
yes, we talked about this one last. Now it's coming back to me. I remember this now. Yep. Oh, that one.
And the Black Madeira, I got one of those,
because I got to get some of that one.
Yeah. So once they get to about the same size branches, then I'll start doing some grafting for those.
Yeah, I'm also gonna bring the Ronde de Bordeaux inside. That's the one that I'm going to grow indoors, I think. Which variety was it again that you had indoors? The hydroponic?
That one is the Black Madeira.
Black Madeira, yeah.
Yeah, because it started out with a fig cutting.
Yeah.
And then the cutting, I just left it in hydroponic, and it's growing like crazy. I can take cuttings off of that now.
Yeah.
So just kind of like cutting, you get and just doing it, and then you just kind of let it go. And it was just, and then it just became a hydroponic fig on its own almost, huh?
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's kind of great how kind of some experiments just happen and you don't even know it. And that's I mentioned about, I think last time too, one of the figs I threw out into the thing because I thought it was just dead and wasn't even going to go anywhere. It was one of the many cuttings I had, and just didn't grow. Other ones grew. This one didn't grow. Threw it off into a pile of like dead plants and soil I was going to recycle later and everything, and come back to it the next year, and it's actually growing out of it, you know. And I'm like, what? It's so great. Plants can do some awesome stuff.
The only thing that kills figs I've found is fungus gnats, the larvae from fungus gnats. Those
Oh,
are the
really?
only ones that can kill my fig cuttings. So if I can
Oh.
keep those larvae away, then they have 9 lives. They will survive everything.
Keep going
You can-
and keep going, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. And you can. So I think honestly, I think you can kill the fig 9 times without any problems. Because if I kill my citrus, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's not coming back.
Yeah.
But the fig,
Yeah.
those you can lose all the leaves. You can even lose all the stems down to the root base, and
Yeah.
they will just
It'll-
coming back.
Yeah, yeah. It'll just come alive again the next season and all of that. You know, and people talk all the time is you can just cut them right down to the base even too. You know, if you want to keep kind of bushes, you know, fig bushes more than fig trees, just cut them down to the base every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a versatile plant also. You can grow it in Texas and you can grow it here in Norway. And I think that speaks a little bit about how tolerant they are. They can really handle most everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's certain varieties that you have to cut them back because the fruits only grow on new growth. And so you really have to cut them back.
Yeah.
You have to, huh?
But the Desert King, you can leave it because they have 2 kinds of fruits. Ones that grow on the older branches, and there's a few that grows on the newer branches, and they come in at different times of the year, so you get 2 harvests of figs. So that's pretty nice.
Yeah, yeah. Would you know? I've got the Chicago Hardy fig. Is that a cut down every year, or is that or is that something you can let grow too?
That one I'm not sure. I haven't grown the Chicago.
You haven't done that one.
Big.
I just wonder. I'll have to look into that because I want to figure out what I'm going to do with it as far as if I'm going to let it, because that's kind of what I'm trying to think of right now is am I going to let it kind of just go and then get new growth, maybe get a little bit bigger for next year, because it is, you know, it's still pretty low and I could use maybe a little bit bigger, you know, and get a little bit more fruit, hopefully, you know, that sort of thing. And so I'm thinking about that. But if it does better cutting back, then you know, I might as well just go with it the way it is there and maybe just grow more of them. Yeah. Right on, guys. Well, you know, let's see here. Let's talk about some things. What do you got any ideas of some things that, because you guys are always experimenting, you're always trying things and all that sort of stuff, or anything you got going on, anything you're thinking about trying or anything like that coming up here for either the next growing season or something that you're trying right now that's a little bit new? And I'll start with King. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Nothing new, but I've been growing a lot of these Malabar spinach. I really love them.
Oh yeah,
they're super easy to grow. Like Chris said, they're one of those plants that I can't get rid of because at the end of the season, I'll let the seeds drop, and then the next season they grow right back. And if you have so many seeds, because they do produce thousands and thousands of seeds. And the funny thing is, I actually allow them to drop those thousands of seeds because the next spring, I harvest the baby plants as microgreens. They are amazing. I don't know if you guys ever tried it.
Yeah.
If you could have a chance to try it.
Yeah.
Just let the seeds just drop everywhere. And then the next season, they'll just grow back as little baby plants. And when you eat those baby plants, they're so good.
They're good. Good
they just grow on their own. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah. Have you tried actually taking seed and making trays of them at all for like indoor microgreens or anything?
I grow them inside, but they're not really good as microgreens in a way like sunflowers are, because they grow pretty big. You know, even a little baby plant, they can grow pretty nice and thick. And so I just let them grow on the ground. I grew them in hydroponic before. They seem to not like the type of water exposure as I was thinking. They do like water, but they water it and then let it go dry because they're very heat tolerant, so they can tolerate kind of like a long period without water. And so I grew them in hydroponic, and it did not do well at all. It was very surprising to me. So that's one of my experiments that I've done. And the leaves kind of like didn't turn the deep dark green. It actually kind of bleached a little bit, and so that was really strange.
Wow. Yeah. But yeah, that's really good stuff. I've actually gotten to eat that again out of my buddy John Kohler's desert garden in Las Vegas. He grows a lot of that Malabar spinach and all of that too there as well too. And yeah, I would love to try some. I'm gonna have to get a hold of some seed or something like that too, and maybe try some, you know, like microgreen trays of that too, as I get my microgreens going and stuff here in just a little bit. That sounds really delicious.
You can also propagate them really easily. So I only grow 1 plant or 2 plants per year. And as soon as they grow the little baby shoot, I just cut the shoot off, plug them in the soil, and then you get a whole new plant. They're really easy. You don't have to try. Just plug them in there, and then they'll just grow. And so you have hundreds by the end of the season if you keep doing that.
There's a fun, here's another side fun experiment you just mentioned right here that I love doing, and I've actually got several of them up there, is just testing around with different types of plants in your garden and pluck a stem off and just stick it right in the soil. I've done it with I do it all the time. I'm like, okay, let's try this. Will this one do it? And then stick it in the soil. You know, a lot of plants probably not going to. It isn't, you know, this and that, but it always surprises me sometimes the ones that do. And it is, you know, and there are several plants that will just do that. You just pluck them and stick them right in the ground. I had this one really cool flower that I had that I thought was really cool, but I only had this one little plant, you know what I mean? So I was like, okay, let's try it. Click, stuck it in another one, and now I got another one. And then just at the beginning of this season, I took both of those and went clip, 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 and stuck. Now I got a whole bunch of them, you know, from one little plant. It was great.
Those are fun experiments.
How about you, Chris? What you got growing on up there?
Yeah, so I don't know. Have you tried, Khang, to grow strawberries in water?
Ooh, that's a good one.
I did grow strawberries in hydroponic. But I'm not sure what I did wrong. But I get a lot of runners, but not a lot of fruits. Does it take a long time, like a year or something, to get them?
No.
Because it took me around 3-4 months. They grow a ton. They keep putting out these runners, and I can. But
that's the one thing, you know, and again too, it's a different growing environment for the plant, so maybe it's just stressed a little bit, so it's throwing those runners because it just wants to get out and find some other space or something. Maybe they got really small root systems too, so you know, I don't know if it's the vastness of where they're, you know, that sort of thing, if they want to be kind of contained a little bit or have things around them that kind of contain their root systems a little bit. I'm not sure. I got tons of strawberries. This is one of my things. Again, those runners, I love reproducing new plants out of runners and all of that, and I do it every year, and then it just expands a whole new space I've got to find for more strawberries. So my idea now is I've got to put a gutter up along my carport for the roof, for drainage, because I'm going to get back on the carport. We're going to do some new rooftop gardening up there this next year, hopefully. And so I want to put a gutter up there. So my idea now is maybe go get a bunch of gutter, do that up there, and then put some gutter along my fence and do some gutter strawberries too with some of the new plants that I get this year as well, and kind of find new ways to be creative with new spaces. And this will be a strawberry farm before we know it.
Yeah, the reason why I asked is that my youngest son, he is dead set on me growing strawberries in the new grow room. That's the kind of the first thing that we want to have. And I grew strawberries in soil in the other grow room before, and it was really successful. I got tons of strawberries, and they were tasting just as nice as they were outside. But I was thinking that I want to have one of the walls in the grow room. I want to have I think I talked about it last time, but I want to have pipes running all the way zigzagging down, and I would have holes to grow in a traditional, I don't know what's it called, but the hydroponic system, but it's flowing water, continuously flowing water, with a pump in the end. And I was thinking that would be perfect for strawberries because they grow really nice and they will just hang outside, and it would be so easy to pick them, and it would be so easy to throw out plants if there were something happening to them. So that's why I was curious about growing it in water indoors, if that was something worth trying. Or as you said, if it's just leafy growth, then what's the
Yeah,
point? But
exactly.
but it would be fun to try, and I think I'm gonna have to try growing
Yeah.
strawberries that way, because
Right.
you would
Your
love to
little
have it.
system that you have, that little system you created,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that might be a good little system to even try it
Yeah,
in.
it would be, but it wouldn't be enough for my son. He wouldn't be full.
Yeah.
I would need a wall. I would need a wall, and
Yeah. Yeah.
that's something that always bites me, because I see people grow, and I come back to this again and again and again. The basil plant, where people
Mhm.
grow 3 stems of basil, and they think that's enough for a
Mhm.
big family. That's not going to cut it. You need to grow. You need to size up to be able to have unlimited. And that's the same
Yeah.
thing with strawberries. If I'm growing strawberries indoors, I want to have enough so I can actually go and pick here and there. So
Yeah.
that would be more nice than to just have one strawberry and cut it up in 15 pieces and delivering it out to friends and family. It's not gonna cut it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, huh? Yeah,
So
you
yeah,
want to have plenty, and that's one of the reasons why my strawberry garden continues to expand each and every year. Is
yeah,
again, you can't have enough. I just
no,
if there's some reason with strawberries, and I still got even a freezer full of even some strawberries,
yeah,
that I harvested earlier in the season still too. But I've got more that are going to be coming up here in the next few weeks as well, in the next little go round that they're going through right now. So I just love them. I can't get enough of them.
it's the
So
same
I'm
with
right there with your
raspberries.
son.
If you have strawberries and raspberries, you can't eat full of that. It's you can never grow too
Especially if
much.
you grow them from home, they taste so much better. So
Yeah.
it'll give you like
It's
a
not
whole new
comparable.
experience. You're like, what? Strawberry tastes this good?
And
Mhm.
it's crazy. In the wintertime, we get all our strawberries from Spain, and they
Yeah,
taste like watered down
yeah.
something green. It's not
Mhm.
good at all.
Or
They
just
look
too
fantastic.
bitter because they've been picked too young too. This is always
Yeah,
seems to be a situation with them too.
yeah.
You'll get your
But
little
it's
carton of them, but like they always make sure they're throwing in at least enough of the ones that aren't quite ripe as well into the ripe
yeah.
ones too. And it's like, but that's
But
the
I
great thing
feel
about
like
growing them is you can pick them right at the optimal sweetness to where they're
yeah,
not. You don't have to worry about that tartness. You don't have to worry about any of that sort of stuff. You just get an
yeah,
optimal
It's the,
strawberry,
it's
which is
the
the most
shipping
delicious
time.
thing you can have.
yeah.
Yeah, they
I
have to
feel like
account for the shipping time to where you are. That's why.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I feel like everything that you grow, say strawberries or raspberries or everything, they grow varieties that take a third of the time from the ones that really taste well, and that's
yeah,
because they need to have a turnaround on the plants and
exactly.
the fruit, and I understand that, but it's not the tasty variety. So for me, I just put in a full year of growing
Mm,
my strawberries, and then they
yeah,
taste phenomenal.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it's worth it when you're doing it home. So and also
mm,
I think that everything that has more time to do the same amount of work tastes better in the end, in my experience at least. If I have peppers running for months, they
mhm,
taste really well. And the
yeah,
same with my tomatoes and my strawberries and everything. As long as they have a really long period to ripen, and they don't get stressed by always continuously trying to push it, then the taste is most definitely not getting worse.
yeah, yeah. Do you grow any in your, like, maybe have a patch or anything in your greenhouse?
Yeah, no, not in the greenhouse. We used to have a huge patch of strawberries out in the garden, but
Yeah,
now the garden is a mess because it's not on the list of
yeah,
things
yeah,
right now. But next year or the year after, I think
yeah,
we'll get back to it, and we're gonna have a huge outside patch of strawberries, but not
yeah,
for now. So that's why I want to get ahead and start
yeah.
them indoors, and
Yeah, well,
they don't.
because here's the thing, though, is even if you do get ahead and you start them indoors and all of that, and like Kang's talking about, if all you're really
Yeah,
getting is runners off of them,
yeah,
well, you know what? You're just getting new plants. You're going to get
yeah.
a whole bunch of new plants that you can stick into that nice garden later on,
That's
if
actually
that's what
one of
ends up happening.
yeah, and that's actually what happened to the one that I had indoors, because I had one. It produced a ton of strawberries, but I once it started to put out a new sucker, I just cut it off almost straight away, and I put it in water, and it continued to grow, and then I planted that again. So that's why I populated the outdoor garden with the plants from that plant. But I think that if you are really fast at cutting, once you start to see something forming like a root, then just cut it off. And I think that's also an advantage for the mother plant to put out the fruits and not continuously providing the suckers with nutrients.
Good point.
Yeah, that is one of those things that if you cut those off as soon as they start coming up, it just gets the plant reinvigorated to continue growing even more. And then maybe somewhere in that, in that whatever situation that's causing them to just really throw the runners out versus fruit, well, that situation will change for it, and then it'll start producing the fruit as well.
Yeah,
it's the best way to give it the best chance to do that as most too. So
same with aloe and stuff like that. I got to start doing that earlier.
Yeah. So I got to do that with a lot of the different patches. So we got the front patch, I got a side patch, I got the back patch, all that sort of stuff. But so like one of them I'll let grow runners for new plants. And then those other ones, I got to go around there and try to cut off all the runners, because again, too, once they really start doing that, that's just what they're going to do more so than actually producing the fruit.
And strawberries really don't like being too old.
Yep. Oh, there's another good point. Yep.
Yeah, you need to change them out every 2-3 years, and so it's kind of if you really want to have a good patch, you really have a continuous work, because you really need to focus on new pups and you need to change out. So what I've been doing is trying to have like a third of the section I change out every year. That way I will always have a fresh and a 1 year and a 2 year. So I do a rotation that way.
Yeah.
And so it comes to the end, and I pick the suckers and I place that down in the first year section again. And that's a good rotation system. Then you get decent things.
Yeah, that like the back patch that I got this right on the corner of the alleyway last year. And this is the thing, like for that patch has been great. In fact, like the year or so before, I was getting like big old juicy strawberries and tons of. I got some really cool pictures on my Instagram from that patch, And last year, they started getting small, and then that's kind of your sign right there. It's like, okay, so that's about your sign right there that you need to switch up that patch to some new to some new plants, because their fruits will start to get smaller and maybe even start producing less of them because they're older plants. And you can tell too. You can see it on the that they're just old and they're been growing for a while and stuff too. So it's kind of somewhat, I wouldn't say easy, but you can identify those older plants, and you really get in there and just start pulling them out and replacing them and put new plants in there and get that patch refreshed.
Yeah, and also they get too large leaves. You see it on the leaves that it's really just about growing the leafy growth and not as big of a producer. So when the plant looks the nicest, it's time to get rid of it.
Right. I think that probably is the best sign though, right? Is you get your year that you've got the biggest, juiciest strawberries, the most awesome looking plants, the next year replace them.
Yeah.
Because you've built up to this, right? The best you're gonna, right? That's awesome. Yeah, that definitely a great idea, especially when it comes to strawberries, because again, like a lot of other perennial plants, they just kind of wear out after a while and just kind of need to bring in a new generation.
Yeah. So I got my new the coffee that I'm going to have in the grow room. I already got that. And it was kind of a fun thing, because I grew a coffee from my own to seed, and then I planted the seed and I grew another coffee tree, and then I got some new seedlings from that. And I gave away some seedlings to my father's girlfriend, and she continued to grow on that, and I lost my coffee tree and I went in a 2-year hiatus, and now she got fruits from that and she grew new seedlings from those seeds, and now I got one of the plants back. So it's actually the grandchild of my plant, and I'm really scared of transferring it from soil to water. But fingers crossed it's gonna work, and that's gonna be my new coffee tree. So it's actually the third or fourth generation of coffee that's actually grown.
That's going to be
I
awesome.
wonder if you can propagate those trees, when they get older.
Yeah.
Never seen anyone do a propagation on coffee tree before.
No, I don't know. It's kind of
Another
a weird.
experiment to try.
Yeah. There's too many experiments.
Let's see
No,
here.
but I
Actually,
think,
before we get too far, I just noticed. I'm sorry. Before we get too far from strawberries, actually, I did get a question here. Actually, let's take a look at this here. Janet Potter asked, "Where is the best place to grow strawberries? Mine don't seem to be doing too much." And a question I would ask in there is, where are you growing them now versus? Yeah.
And where do you live?
Yeah, another good question too.
Yeah.
I find that strawberries are just so versatile, and maybe it just might be a bit of just kind of experimenting around with different places and try different things with different plants in different places and see which thrives the best,
Yeah.
conditions, whether you're trying some containers on your back balcony and all that sort of stuff, which I've got container strawberries, which thrive really, really well in containers. I mentioned talking about doing the gutters and all of that sort of stuff. I haven't tried it myself, but I've seen people do really well with those as well, and so I think they're really pretty versatile. So if they're not working in one place, I suppose I would say just start plucking some around in other places and see how they do. What do you guys think?
In my experience with berries, if size is something you would like, and that's of course the main thing for the strawberries, then to have a decent amount of water in the soil all the time. That's my experience, at least, because once the plants dry out a little bit, the fruit stops growing and it won't start back up again. Even if you water, it's just gonna make a whole lot of other problems. So for me, I have them directly in soil, and we have a lot of rain, so it's not a problem. But the soil, you can always stick your finger in, and it's always moist, and that way the fruits are growing exceptionally. So my experience is just make sure that the soil is moist and not dry out too much. And I think that goes for many of the other things also with the raspberries but those are better at drawing humidity from lower. But the strawberries, they are so shallow that they really need to have some consistency in the watering to make sure that the fruits get to a decent size.
Yeah, that makes sense, because I did grow some in Texas, and as you said, as Chris was saying, the roots are pretty shallow, and so the soil dries out very quickly, and my fruits were like the size of pinkies.
Yeah,
and I think that might be her situation there too. Is you can see here, she's Southwest Florida, and growing them in containers. So she's worried maybe they're getting too much sun. Sun probably to the point where it's just drying them out, maybe, and that might be a good situation. Because again, it's the situation with most plants, and this is why it's so important with container gardening that we're really paying attention to watering and making sure that we don't allow our containers through the hottest part of our season to really ever dry completely out. I mean, there's always a little drying we can do, but like you said, when you get your finger down and it's just, if you're going too much than a quarter, half an inch, and it's just, you're not feeling some sort of moisture, in a container like that, then you should probably start thinking about, getting some water in there or something, especially for hot days where it could just dry out really, really quick. And again, that's what's going to happen. The plant's going to go into shock. And at that point in time, it's just producing flowers and that sort of stuff's going to be too hard for it.
Yeah. And I've also grown. Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
No, but I've been growing strawberries both in shade and in full sun, and it don't make a difference at all, because the berries are so shaded either way, and the plants can really take large amounts of sun, and it also will it will have less fruits in the shade, but they do very well also when being shaded. So I think the watering is the most significant thing.
Yeah.
All right. I put in a drip system for some of the fruits that are suffering from heat too much, and that in a matter of a few weeks, you can tell the difference right away.
Yeah. Viv asks, any advice for slugs on them? Oh my gosh,
beer.
Those things. Beer. Yeah. Try those nice beer trap things that can really help and all that stuff. But there, slugs, I think, they love strawberries. They love strawberries. Oh my. And that is probably one of my biggest issues when it comes to some of my strawberry patches and stuff, is having to sacrifice plenty of the fruit. That's why I'm glad I grow as much as I do. So that's, and really here's another thing too, low to the ground fruit. Oh, they're going to get that right away. All that stuff, those fruits that are up and hanging or anything like that, where they can't get to them, they're not as likely to get to, because they'll go right straight for all those ones that are just right at the ground. So even here's even another idea I also try as well too, is I take some of the deformed ones and some of the ones that aren't just kind of funky and ain't doing whatever well, and I'll just pluck them off and stick them right on the ground. Let them go right to those and just have them feed them something, give them something to go after before going after the ones up on the actual plants too. I don't know what do you guys think of that. I
don't have slugs.
You don't have slugs?
No, I don't.
Oh, what in the world?
Like a version. The same thing as remember that trick that I told you about picking the bad fruits off of my pear tree and just throw it on the ground?
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
I can't say that it's working I'm thinking
as intended.
It's working.
Right.
So we have this problem that if you feed the moose, then the moose will come. So so that's kind of the reasoning. So you don't want to feed the moose close to where you have your
feed them over here, move them away.
They are eating what you offer and then some more.
Funny story, because I did spend some time in my high school years living in Alaska, so I know what it's like to live up so north like that as well. And I know what it's like to deal with moose. My aunt one time, she loved like feeding them corn cobs. But my aunt was not the very brightest person either when it came to a lot of this stuff. She tried one day feeding them corn cobs right from her front door.
Yeah.
You know how smart that is? Because those things butt themselves in and they want to find out where the rest of the corn is, and they think they can go up inside of your house. And this is stories. There's stories of this up in Alaska where moose will get their way into your house and then completely destroy your house and bust out of a wall. Because they get in, they think they're looking for food, and then they get inside and then freak out because there's 4 walls around them.
But we forgive them. They are so tasty. We forgive them.
That's right. I remember us having to push this moose, like, oh no, don't let it in the house. Keep it from going in the house. Lucky you don't got moose down there. Right on. That's great.
I don't know if moose eat strawberries. I have to check that.
Viv was also mentioning too that she has her strawberries in a raised bed, and when they pup, pushing the runners, donate them to the community allotments. That's awesome. That's a great way to do it too. Take advantage of that if you got the opportunity to maybe make some more new plants and help someone in your neighborhood maybe grow a strawberry patch. Awesome, guys. So anything else you got growing on? Anything you want to talk about today? Oh, Khang, I'm sorry. This is the thing I got to remember when I'm talking with 2 different people. I gotta form my question to a person.
Exciting Khang up here.
So I think it's going to cool down pretty soon. And so my peppers are starting to pick up. They got big, but man, they're just dying of thirst every day. The drip system really helped out. But I think in a few weeks, the peppers are going to really, really come through because it's going to get cooler. And the sun is not going to beat on them as much. Peppers are tropical plants, but they're not tropical to Texas, with 100 degrees Fahrenheit and plus, And so they're struggling like crazy, but I think pretty soon I'm growing like this variety called the Ahi Omnicolor.
Yeah,
it's so beautiful. I can't wait to get stuff off of that before.
Good. Came up right in the time this question came too. Tori Williams was asking you how your peppers are doing.
Oh, Tori, long time. Tori is one of our old pepper friends. He goes way back in the G+ days.
The
I'm glad.
days.
I'm glad I still see Tori around, but Tori used to grow all kinds of crazy super hots from different breeders that create them.
Oh, right. Nice.
Crazy. Yeah, good to see you, Tori.
Yeah. I like to experiment with a few super hots each season from different people just to try them out and all of that stuff. I noticed my KS lemon starbursts are looking real nice out there. Nice pods of those out there right now. I should have thought of that before the show and went and plucked some of them to show everybody.
Oh man, you should have showed it.
Yeah. Oh man. But yeah, I just thought about that too because I was out there. Because you're totally right. It's like for me, like the heat and everything, and that's the thing. Peppers are heat-loving plants, but when it gets a little hot, they're just like any other plant too. It just gets to be a bit much, and they slow production down a bit. And with this cooling off we've had over this last week or so for us here, which was really fortunate, man, my peppers just flowers are popping up all over the place, and new pods are starting to form all over, and they're just big, huge, and green too. Just loving it. My question actually, King, is are you still growing out of like the earth buckets at all? Are you doing peppers in those anymore?
Yes, I am. The bottom feeding buckets that we used to have. Yeah. Those are great.
Those are what I'm one of the biggest features of my home garden that I have out here are those buckets that I learned from you. That's the reason why they're out there. I learned them from you, and they are really one of the biggest. I think they're probably one of the best things that a container gardener could get or do for a do-yourself project and whatever. I've done videos on the fact that you can make them for less than $1 a piece. And how are you going to get a 5-gallon bucket that's going to do work for you? Mind you, it does work for you. You just feed the bottom up there, and you ain't got to worry about it for a day or two, even no matter how hot the day it gets. Whereas we talked about, it's a real thing about letting containers dry up. You don't want that to happen. So those are a lifesaver to just that factor alone. You know what I mean? Just it helps keep them from drying up completely. And I just think they're the best thing out there when it comes to it, and especially for people who like growing peppers. Peppers do so well in those things.
Yeah. And you can get those buckets at your ice cream shop. They throw them out all the time.
Exactly. That's what makes them so inexpensive. And there's so many places and so many businesses, like you say, ice cream shops or bakeries. Go to your grocery stores and sandwich shops, pickle buckets. I got a lot of mine are pickle buckets from a sandwich shop and stuff. There's just so many places where people are using 5-gallon buckets and just tossing them out, and we'll give them away to you for free. And then all you got to do is do a little bit of work. You got to get the net pot. You got to go get a PVC pipe, and then you got to drill some holes, and then boom, 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 boom. You got one of the best containers you could have in a container garden.
Yeah, you got to have those net pots though, that soak up the water.
Yep, exactly. Got to have them, because that's the whole point right there, is to pull and bring that water up from the bottom and have it bring it right up into the root system. Wicking, to wick the water up in, sort of like you would think like a candle would, or one of those things would wick the lanterns, I guess, would be with the oil, right? So it wicks the oil in to keep the light going. So it's the same kind of thing for a plant, it's wicking the water up into the root system to keep them nice and moist.
Yeah, they sell these buckets too, so it's crazy. I mean, you can make them for yourself, or you can buy them.
There are, and they actually have some little like insert type things you can purchase that'll do certain things and all that sort of stuff as well. So you can do it inside of a single bucket. But I always think, that takes up a third of the root space that you're getting out of the bucket and all that sort of stuff. And might as well just get a second one if you can get them for free. Stack them together, put that net pot in. You've got that full 5-gallon root space that you can use instead of having some of those insert things. And then again, too, those things will cost you some money. I've seen them upwards of $20-some a piece, and when you can make a system like that at less than $1 a piece. I'm a budget gardener over here.
The gardener is all about budgeting, So
that's right, man. You gotta
finding the best way to grow without spending too much money.
Exactly. It could be one of those biggest things that deters a lot of people who do get into gardening, though. Is the cost. You know, a lot of people see things as costly. You know, they go and they see this stuff. You know, these little cool things they can do, and everything for the garden has some sort of price tag, and you want all of it because you want this. You know, you want the best, most successful garden you can, and you're doing and buying all this stuff to try to make it as great as you can, and then find out that, oh man, this was so expensive to produce this tomato. And then, you know, is it worth it in the long run? And that's why I really encourage people, and that's why I like showing things through my garden stuff that I do, mostly just budget. Like, let's make and do a garden for next to nothing.
Yeah, you can use any kind of containers to grow plants. Like,
oh man, you're the king of this. Kang's the king of containers here. This is great. What is this?
This is my kids. They love Jello that comes inside this container.
Yeah.
And once they're done, they just toss them out. I was like, man, this is such a cool container. It's clean. So I'm using Chris's.
I don't think I've ever seen those before.
And there's no holes in here.
And no holes.
There's soil all the way up to the head. So all the extra, you water extra, it just comes collect right here. The roots are still going to be fine.
Yeah,
and it'll just grow. And I'm using Chris's system, the lighting system.
Oh yeah.
And that's what is powering this one here.
Oh,
and you can see the roots all over the place. You see?
That's right.
What pepper is this?
I love it, man.
This is called the Sriracha. The Khang Starr.
Yeah.
So I'm working on a project to cross this variety with the Death Spiral. So I can call it the Death Star. Chris would like that one.
That's awesome.
Yeah, excellent. And
you can use soup containers too. So I've done a bunch of hydroponic growing with soup containers.
Yeah,
you can grow in everything.
I'm telling you, there's so many things, and that's why I say you're the king of just fun, creative container gardening, especially for a lot of the indoor stuff you do and the smaller containers and that sort of stuff. I think is the thing I love most about checking out your channel and watching your videos when you're showing us all the different things you got growing, and you're seeing like these big old 7-Eleven cup over here, and this other type of container over here, and this sort of thing. It's like Khang will grow something out of anything and grow it good too.
Well, I had a fun story yesterday. I grow something that's called, I think it's called Naga Morich, if that's a name of a pepper. It's a horrible pepper. And, I grew it, and we had taco yesterday. So I thought, I want to taste the first one. And I chopped it up and put it on the taco, and it was awful as promised. And that was all fine. But after the dinner, we cleared up everything, and we threw away the garbage. And my wife was throwing away what she thought was paprika, and she got her hands full of the oils from inside the pepper, and she was licking the finger afterwards, and suddenly she went gray, and she she can handle heat. She can do just as much heat as I can, but she just went gray, and I thought, okay. So it was. I had quite fun yesterday. She did not. She drank the rest of the milk, and she had a bad time for about 15 minutes or so. But that was a horrible pepper. I really didn't like the taste. It was I like so I like the things that people don't like the Trinidad scorpions, and I like the Reaper also. But the Naga Morich, that it when you smell it, you just get goosebumps, because somehow the body has a memory of something that smells like that. It's just the smell of pain. I don't know how to describe it, because if you show the pepper to people that haven't tasted hot peppers ever, they say, oh, it tastes like green peppers, or it tastes like regular bell peppers. But for people who have tried something horrible, and the body just shrivels up. It's something dangerous about the smell.
Exactly, huh?
She's you gotta do that.
Yeah, you got to be careful with peppers though too, man.
Yeah.
I've made mistakes of getting some pepper oils on me, and it wasn't my mouth I was touching. Let's just say that, right? It wasn't my mouth I was touching.
Yeah, we understand.
Definitely don't get it in your eyeballs. I've done that too as well.
Yeah. Always in the eyeballs, everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
And it's hard to wash them off too. You got to really try to wash them off.
It soaks in. It just soaks
yeah, but if
in.
you really get it in, you can't get it out. I one year, that was the only year I did that mistake. I thought, well, I really don't care about using gloves because people they say that's dangerous and you should this and that. I really don't care. I don't believe in anything. And I did a full pepper blending session, and I was gnawing in the super hots for hours, and yeah, everything seemed fine, but you can taste the pepper on your finger for 3 or 4 days afterwards.
Oh wow.
And after 3 days, my skin started to peel off. So I thought, maybe not do that next time because it's kind of not good.
Right. Oh
Yeah.
man, yeah. You got
It's something horrible. I think it's poison for a reason.
right. Exactly, huh?
But we
Yeah,
all enjoy eating it.
I know. What's the deal with that, right? It's like, and for me though, I mean, I had like a pepper extract that was probably the hottest thing I ever had. It was ridiculous. It was painful. And this was many years ago, before I even got into growing peppers on my own and all of that. And so I knew that ultimately I wasn't going to be like, getting into like enjoying hot peppers. You know what I mean? They're always just the fun pepper pods to grow. They're the fun plants to grow, that sort of thing as well too. But I can only handle so hot. I can't do that. and again too, you got to watch out, because if you do really enjoy growing them and you are around them still, like you said, the oils and all that sort of stuff, that'll get you as well too. So you might not think you're going to be eating them, but if you're growing them and playing around or messing around with them, you're going to get some heat one way or another.
When you grow pepper, you're in an abusive relationship. It's just the case of the fact.
It's exactly what it is, right? But I love you so much.
Yeah. there's no way to run away.
I made some powder last night, and I accidentally just get my nose closed just to see what it smells like, But as you're grinding it, there's little particles still flying around.
Yeah, and you can't see them either.
Exactly. It's it gets in the air. Exactly.
Yeah. You would sneeze for a while, your nose runs, your body would go into shock and stuff.
Oh yeah, especially if you dry them out and you're making the powders and stuff.
That's what I
did. That's exactly. Yeah, you get the thing going. It starts floating around the kitchen, and you're like, oh, yeah. That would be a nightmare.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Right on.
But it's not the last time.
Yeah, it is definitely not the last time. That's for sure. I'll probably find myself burning up for some reason I wasn't expecting in the next few weeks, as I'm going to be pulling off a lot of these new pods that are starting to pop up, that are coming up now too. Because like we were saying, the plants are looking really great right now.
Yeah.
Even at harvest time, you can make those mistakes too, because sometimes you just pull your hand and you pull it off. And then you touch the calyx, because sometimes it will fall off the calyx, and then you touch your face and you accidentally forget.
Yeah, I know. I find at least one time a year I get some sort of thing where I can either feel the sensation in my hand, I'm doing something or something like that as I'm pulling a lot of them, or checking out the pods and all that sort of stuff. Because I'll even, again, you want to crack some open too, even just to smell them, even, that's as far as I want to go. But it's just, even in doing that part of everything, something's going to happen and I get it on my hands one way or another. Right on, guys. Well, let's see here. What else we got going? I was just wondering if we have any other questions, but let's see here. If anybody's got any questions before we get finishing up this interview, so let's let everybody know in the audience. Jump in, ask some questions real quick, and we can toss in a question or two before we get done with this conversation. But How about you guys? You guys got any questions? Kang or Chris?
I do. For Chris, I was
There
wondering
you go.
when he's gonna get the room growing and start recording again, because that's what I follow.
Sorry, I didn't hear. What was it again?
He's
I
putting
wanted to know
pressure
when
on you.
you're gonna start your grow room and start recording a new
Yeah.
project.
Yeah, as soon as I get it, just hold on. I need to show something.
There we go. Here we go.
Don't get me started.
Don't get me started.
I even have made a GoPro helmet thing.
Oh,
Yes.
nice.
And
There we go. Yes.
I have the HDMI transmitting over whatever, and I have a battery pack and everything. And I was thinking, if I'm gonna do live streaming, I want to be able
Heck
to
yeah.
to
This
connect
is it.
my-
This is it right
cool
here.
right
I love it.
That is deep. Yeah.
Yeah,
Can't
so
wait.
I spent way too much on this thing, and
Well, I think next time we get you on, we're gonna have to experiment with that.
Yeah.
I was thinking
what it-
if the grow room is ready enough for me to be inside there, then I can do it from that grow room instead of being here at the computer, just trying to get the feel of it.
Yeah. Just
But yeah, it's
move
as
along and all
soon
that.
as I get in there, I'm going to start filming, and I already started on taking some clips of the process of getting the grow room finished also. So it's going to be a little bit interesting to get started with that. And
Yeah,
also, I really want to open it up and have people having suggestions for things for me to do. I have a ton of ideas myself, but I was thinking about maybe doing a live stream or something once the room is finished to have people join in and see if we can find some interesting ways to move forward. Because when we started doing the YouTube gardening 10 years ago or something close to that now, things were a little bit different. Things, not the same things are interesting in today's algorithm.
Yeah.
And it's also, we have moved forward. We started with simple projects, with simple things, and now we all have moved on to doing more advanced things when we have the time for it. And we also specialize a little bit into things, but it's nice to get back to the roots and see what people really want to see content about, because my grow room is for everybody, and the hobby is for everybody. And I one of the things that so it's 50-50. The growing and the sharing is 50-50 for me. I enjoy the conversation with people, and with you guys, of course. That's the most inspiring thing for me. And I really want to get to a place where people can join in and say, we would like to have a project like this and that. And maybe then we can do live streams with grafting, or we can do things that don't necessarily have to be a separate video, but could be something more interactive. So I'm
that's
really
the thing I love about the live streams, though, too. It's really it's just, I once I first started doing them a few years ago, it was just it just clicked with me a bit more so, and because of that interaction, that ability to kind of just share one-on-one with people who are following along with you directly. I mean, they're right there in the chat room with us, you know what I mean? And we can, and we can talk with them, and they can participate in all of this sort of stuff. So I love that idea, because that's really one of the, bigger goals of what I do online is, sharing what other people are doing, and all of that sort of stuff as well too. But also, for you to be able to experiment and do things with what your audience wants to be able to see is a big thing as well too. Give them what they want.
So also a little bit of a plug in coming 2 weeks from now, about in the middle of September, I'm going to be starting my new channel, the Mountain Lab, and that's going to be my lab channel where I do electronics. And I sent you, Khang, some parts for the Botanium. That's something that I made a video about, and I want to get it up there so people can see the process from start to finish on that kind of thing. And also, that's somewhere where the helmet cam is coming in, where I want to do things here in the room. I want to 3D print. I want to do all sorts of different things. Maybe we do some programming, or it's going to be a technical thing. But also, I was thinking that if for some reason, one of the interesting projects would be make a new grow station, and we can design from start to finish. We can 3D print. We can do all sorts of research and development. And I want to do that thing live. I want to have people join in and say, "Oh, this feature, that feature." So it's going to be interesting. So I really hope you will join me.
So
in the start.
You're going to be kicking that. So you're going to kick that off here in about a couple of weeks, and then and you're set to get that going and rolling.
Yeah, I already have a couple of videos made for some of the electronics project where I did my grow light. So I have for the citrus. I made some new electronics for it. It's automatic on and off, and I can control it via my Stream Decks on the computer. So when I have a meeting, I can turn down the grow lights and all sorts of things. That's something that I made a video about also. And I want to get started with a couple of videos. And also it's going to be mainly a live streaming thing, I think, because it's very easy for me to jump on and do 2 hours of live stream every now and then, often, I think, because I'm always tinkering with my projects. But it would be nice to have somebody to talk with when you're doing things like that, and it could be a little bit interesting, I think. So
so let's have you back on here in a couple of weeks. Let's have you back on here in a couple of weeks, and let's just talk specifically about that channel and those sort of projects and that sort of thing, and let's dig into that. I think that's a great idea.
But it's not going to be exclusively gardening. It's going to be tech related. So
I think it's great. But I think it kind of comes together too. I think if people will know and understand that side of what you're doing as well as the gardening side brings it together, though, because I think that's, again, too, one of the more really fascinating things about what you do in your garden is how you bring in electronics and these sort of things into what you're doing. I think people are going to love, that's one of the things what I was saying earlier. I think people are going to love the idea of seeing some of these things that you've done and kind of touched on just here and there over these last couple of years as you're just intermittently doing stuff. When you get regularly going into that, I think people are going to love that aspect of what you're doing with your gardening.
Yeah, thank you. I also think it could be interesting. So, and also one of the projects that I'm planning on spending a lot of time on live streaming in this winter is going to be making the new supercomputer for the greenhouse, the one that's going to control all the ventilation, control the watering system, the temperature, the geothermal system, everything. So it's a huge
See, there's
project.
gardening in there. There's gardening in there. So that's what I'm saying. There's gardening in there. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but it's going to be a tech channel from a guy that loves gardening. So of course it's going to be a lot of gardening content.
Exactly. That's why we got to do it. We'll have you back to talk all about that and launch that up and everything, because
so that's why all the gear is upgrading these days. It's just getting into to the thing.
Right on. All right, one question here. We'll put this towards Khang here real quick, or both of you, but we'll start that. Seeds are growing from my bell peppers already. Trim them or leave them. So I'm thinking bell pepper seeds are little starts, right? Are we talking about maybe topping them off? Maybe I should ask for a little bit of clarification.
Yeah. Normally they're seedlings. You don't need to do anything to them. Just give them enough light, and then they'll just grow just fine.
Oh, in fact, this is great. So this will actually, I can kind of move this into a question, hopefully. Last couple of weeks ago, when I had Master Gardener Scott on for our answering gardening questions, we did touch a little bit on like topping plants. We were talking tomatoes, peppers, and that sort of thing. So I'll just give my opinion ultimately when it comes to topping plants, and I'll ask you guys what you think about this as well too, is that for the most part, I don't find a lot of varieties of peppers really need this. I mean, a lot of pepper varieties will produce a ton anyways, no matter what you do. They'll start branching, they'll start producing and stuff. My advice for topping pepper plants is if you have a pepper variety that's gangly. You know what I mean? I got some of these varieties that just grow long stems and this sort of stuff, and they're just, and they don't produce as much fruit because they grow more long and gangly. And there are varieties that do that. And that's what I've found those. If I top those ones and I really kind of work them throughout the season, I can get them to bush out more. So I think that's, in my opinion, is probably really the only real reason to want to top off or do that sort of thing with a pepper. What do you think, King?
There's really no studies that say topping or no topping would do better. It's mostly opinion. You don't have to top your peppers if you provide them with the right environment and let them grow, with sufficient resources. Like for example, a lot of the times when I grow indoors, my indoor space is very small, and as the plants get bigger, some would touch the light before the other and block everything out. So I have to come through and chop them all off so they can be even. And that's so that they can have even distribution of light, But if that's the only plant that I'm growing in the grow room, I just let them grow crazy, and maybe a trim occasionally if I want to kind of like make them into the shape that I want.
Yeah.
And where I live, I grow in 5-gallon buckets, like we mentioned earlier, and we get a lot of wind, and the wind just snapped my plants a lot of times. So what I usually do is I'll cut them early when they were younger, and so that they'll have this side that would hang to the side instead of going up, and that's the reason why I do them to kind of like keep them from breaking when the wind is just too harsh.
Yeah. The wire tomato cages. Well, there's like a medium-sized one or whatever. They're worthless for tomatoes. It could be called wire pepper cages. Is what has been my thing. I'm renaming them to pepper cages because that's what I do. They hold and they do great, and they're just a great support for peppers because some peppers will flop over, do whatever as they start to get up and tall enough and everything, especially if you're growing them out of those 5-gallon containers. So I find those medium sized, and you can get them for usually, $1, maybe less than $1 at some garden centers and stuff a piece or whatever, are perfect for 5-gallon buckets. Pop right in there to grow your peppers. You don't have to worry about the wind and those sort of things doing that sort of thing to the peppers, because believe me, if I don't have them on there, that's usually a thing. Or I have some that'll just kind of lean and start growing this way, and then they or lean and turn up this way, and so it keeps them nice and straight, keeps them going, that sort of thing, and all of that. So too, they do.
One thing you need to think about if you want to top your plants is how long your season is, because it sets the plant back quite a bit. When I grow indoors, there's no season, so I can top them wherever I want to. Sometimes the plants don't look the way I want it to look, and I want it to start over. I just cut the whole thing back, and then it would just grow right back in a few months and start over again. And so there's so many ways you can, I guess topping as in like start your plant over, you can do that. You can just cut them back and then have them start over again.
So for me, if I wanted to make the perfect pepper plants to have outside in the greenhouse in May, I would start them in November and I would top them and I would keep them growing low. And the main reason for me for trimming them or cutting them down is to strengthen the base of the plant, because if you have as you said, if it's windy, if you have problems with things falling over, then topping them would definitely help. But it takes 2 or 3 more months in preparation. So it's kind of like the bonsai technique. You are trying to shape the plant to do perfect whatever your main goal is, and it's aesthetically pleasing. To be honest, I love topping the peppers, but it's something. So for me, when I grow 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 plants and I have them started in late February, I never top, because it won't finish until the end. So if I were to top them, I start them earlier. But if I'm growing mainly or only indoors, then I always top. Always, because I want to build the plant from the beginning. I don't want it to be tall and dangly. I want it to be strong from the beginning, and that's also nice if you have more limited lighting. then topping the plant is really vital in that process of keeping a sturdy plant. You can grow something that looks really as it has been outside, but in direct sunlight, but it's only been growing in dim indoor lighting, and still look phenomenal if you top it and prune it down.
Yeah. It seems Janet was saying a little more clarity there. There's just not producing any flowers is what I'm kind of getting here. Is that so? I'm thinking maybe, is it hot? So is what I'm wondering, is that the plant's having issues with producing flowers. So I'm not sure if that's what she means by wanting to cut it back or something to maybe try to encourage it to grow and produce flowers. I'm not sure if that would necessarily work though, especially
when
much later in the season.
Flowers, it's because they're not ready. You just have to wait a little bit, and once they're ready, you're gonna see flowers everywhere.
Yeah.
I think cutting back would not make them flower earlier. It would just set them back a little bit more.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Dusty Flats also says that I thought the little tomato cages were perfect for peppers. Also, this year the peppers are outgrowing them. They can. And pepper varieties, and you got some pepper plants that are just doing so well, and they get big. The difference between, and this is what when I like these cages for the peppers, and what I notice where I'm growing in the containers, is that I just use the medium-sized ones, because all I'm really trying to do is create something that's just going to give the pepper plant some sturdiness at the base. You know what I mean? Just something to kind of help the base hold up. And if the plant keeps growing and going up and all of that, it's going to grow and it's going to go up, and it more so than what a tomato will do. Now, see, a tomato, when it starts to outgrow the cage, it'll flop over, it'll go over this way, it'll do things, and it'll really start to do things that'll really just take the whole cage down, because it starts to create so much weight down on top of it and all that sort of stuff. So pepper kind of grows out and up off of the cage, and it just kind of helps create a sturdiness at the base. Yeah.
You know, I find tomatoes grow for me much better in a grow room than outside. Because in a grow room, you can kind of like control, the plant, and then just just trim everything and just let them dangle by the string, and they'll just grow way, way high.
Yeah. They will too. Keep going and going, and in terms are crazy like that. All right, let's see here, guys. I think we're looking pretty good today, man. What a great conversation. It's just really awesome to get together and hang out with you guys again. And
I have one question.
You do have, all right. What do you got?
When are you trying hydroponic?
We're
watching you here. There's nothing happening.
We're working on it. I'm working on it. I gotta get some experiments going. I think this is what we'll do. As you are getting your grow room rolling, and you are working, and you're helping encourage all of us along with hydroponics and teaching us about hydroponics and all of this really cool stuff, how about I grow right along with you?
We need a three-way challenge here. I sense we need a three-way challenge.
This is learning for me. I mean, you guys are the pros. I'm going to be learning here.
Nobody's the pros. We're just winging it, everybody.
Yeah. You try telling people that when they look at that coffee tree you grew, buddy. Come on.
That's the easiest thing to grow. People are trying the hardest thing. So, and to be honest, I really mean this. So if people want to try to grow coffee indoors, they start with a pot this size with some 10-year-old soil without nutrients, and they think they're going to grow coffee. You see, that's the hard thing. If you're doing it that way, I understand that you're not successful, because I wouldn't be able to do that. No way. I really need a setup for the idea that works. And I think that's the reason why. So
I need to get basic though, and try out one of your little grow stations is what I need.
Yeah, of course. But
I have to get you to send me one of those out.
People,
get me started, dude. I'm saying, get me going. Let's get growing here. You're like Jay is saying right here. I got a bit of peer pressure going on.
Peer pressure, yeah. Let's see. We need to make a project there, I think. But I see so many people failing because they are growing things, and they have things they have a greenhouse outdoors, and they try to grow things, and they use something like this to grow a full-size tomato. And
Yeah.
they say I have problems with
Mhm.
my tomatoes just browning out, and I don't know what's
Yeah,
going on. Well, try to start with the decent amount of soil and make
Yeah.
sure that it's watered. And if you do that, then everything will work. It's those basic things that people miss, I think. And that's
Yeah.
ruining a lot of people's hobbies, I think, that they
Right.
are trying to do too much with the missing the fundamental of growing something.
Right.
Yeah,
This
I
isn't
think
the grow a pepper in a can contest, right, Kane? You know that one, right?
yeah,
That's something different. That's the part of the challenge, to try to
Yeah,
do something that's really hard.
yeah, exactly.
I
But
think
don't
Chris is
Exactly.
start
right.
there.
A lot
Don't
of the
start
time,
there. Yeah, that's the point. Don't start there.
if you
Exactly.
keep it simple, it's more enjoyable, and
Hmm.
it's easy to follow. And
Yeah.
so then you don't lose interest, you know.
Yeah.
Because all of us in the beginning, when we're doing something like growing plants for the first time, we kind of complicate everything. We research like how much
Mhm.
water to give, how much nutrients to give, how much this to give. It's just too much of it in the beginning.
Yep.
But then as you get better and better, you're like, wow, I don't need to know to do all that.
It's just
Just
the
keep it
most
simple.
Yeah, it's the most amazing thing I learned out of this. And this also kind of takes us back to earlier in the conversation when we're talking about, we're out there, we're getting new to gardening. So there's all gardening is new. There's all this stuff, all these plants, but all of these care tips and all of this information. And it just seems to be like an overload at first. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So we go into this thing that seems like there's a bunch of overload in it. And then we're trying to figure out all of that. But then as we gain experience, and this is the biggest thing I learned over the years was, again, too, this keep it simple. Let's break down all of that sort of stuff. We don't need all of these extra things. We don't need all of this crazy stuff, because gardening really is and can be brought down to a lot simpler terms. But it's hard for us to do that, with the way we think and our thinking process when we're just coming into something new like this.
And that's also one of the problems with people like us that are trying to please the algorithm. Because if you look at things now compared to 10, 15 years ago, 10, 15
Yeah.
years ago, we started with a cup of soil and we grew some seedlings, and we spent 2.5 hours explaining that simple seedling. That's not going to work today. So we try to push the limit and then make it more inaccessible for beginners. So,
Yeah. And that's really one of the things why I don't know, I have the hardest time going into some of these things again too. Would be kind of cool for me to do because of the algorithm, might get me a little bit more, but then again, it takes me away from kind of just the philosophy I already have that I'm trying to do with my channel already, and showing people what I do with my gardening. And it really is, it is keeping it simple. Because I started my channel, right around that time. I'm starting to learn that, oh, wait a minute, I was overcomplicating things. You know what I mean? And it was because of learning that and figuring that out that I thought, oh, this would be a good way and a good reason to start a channel to kind of show and emphasize those sort of things,
That's one of the things that I really, really love about your programming also with all the live shows. It's not always that I jump into chat because I might be listening in the background
I love
if
it.
I'm doing something else. And it's just so nice to be able to see so many different people's views on what gardening is.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
every single time you bring a guest on, they have a different perspective on what's going on.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. And I was listening yesterday with John, and I really enjoy those kind of conversations with people that are doing so many different things. And you have people that are focusing on pure organics. You have people that are focusing on Instagram. You have people that are focusing on there's so many different things
Just the whole,
and
it really is, and I didn't mention this, and I haven't talked with about anybody on this yet too. I did change our background for our interviews right now, and I changed one word in our statement up top there from building community to growing community through gardening. But that's kind of the point, is that the gardening community is huge and it's vast, full of so many opinions and thoughts and different ways of doing things. And that's really what the garden is too. It's vast and it's different and can be done done in different ways, and it's really a flexible situation in your garden. So it's really good to have so many different viewpoints and thoughts from people. And then there's just so many amazing people in the gardening community that I have been so fortunate. I mean, this is one thing, you know, I ain't got the biggest channel and as a lot of people out there and stuff, but I've been very fortunate in the gardening community to get to know some of the great growers like you two right here, man. I mean, just some of my favorite people in the gardening community, and coming in here and sharing that sort of stuff. And I'm completely honest with that. I mean, you guys are huge inspirations to me. Even before I started my channel, you know, like I mentioned, I watched Khang's stuff and was when I was into peppers and all that, and started my wicking buckets years before I started my channel. You know, and I've been taking inspiration from people for many, many years. And another big point of all of this, which I really appreciate you saying that, Chris, because that really means a lot about what we're doing and trying to do here, is that it's important to hear from other people. It's important to get these different opinions about all of that sort of stuff. But there's so much to learn from. And the biggest thing I'll tell everybody out there that if you guys are learning as much as I'm learning, man, we're getting a ton out of this stuff. And I am so proud of this show. You know, it isn't just that it's my show or anything like that. I am extremely proud of this show, you know, and I think that what we're doing here is, and what I'm hearing from everybody else who gets involved with, is for that. And it's for that purpose, is to share all of this with everybody else out there so that we can all grow and find that passion for gardening, that enthusiasm for growing that all of us have inside of us, whether you think you have a brown thumb or not.
Yeah, but it's those things that are interesting, and when you take people that are call it influencers, that are out there producing content for gardening, and you take them away from their regular setup with the camera and the manuscript and everything, and you put them into a live situation where you will just have a conversation, then you get more of the raw essence behind their philosophy of gardening, and you don't get just whatever is on the theme of that video. You get more, why are you doing it, and what's your ambition, what's your angle about things, and that's what I find interesting, because I've seen 700 ways to grow spinach, and I've grown spinach 800 ways myself. So it's kind of that type of content doesn't give me everything yet. So that's what I like about your show. It's also a show that really caters to people that are doing it and are somewhat satisfied with their own results. So it's for a more mature gardening community, I think. And I really feel like this is the show for me to listen to, because I've seen so much of the other content. It's when you start making videos about things that you find this is kind of the way that I want to do, you somehow step a little bit away from watching other people doing the exact same thing. You tend to watch whatever is interesting for you and in your research, but the main regular content, it's kind of,
and with all of these variety of voices, we can kind of help narrow down some of this stuff as well too, because again, it can be overwhelming. So we can kind of help narrow it down through these conversations. And then ultimately too, the thing I like about the live streams again is this interaction as well too, because we've got people right here, you know, who can, you know, jump in, ask questions, pull a little bit more from us if we need to, you know, and that sort of thing too, which makes all of that sort of stuff even more so. And you brought up a great point, because it actually has, and I got to get my time schedule down a little bit better. And this is something I'm trying to assure everybody, that I will start to get more videos actually done. But it is one of those things that with live streaming though, like you're saying, it's an unedited situation. You know what I mean? Whereas when I'm making videos, I want to make these produced, edited things. I want to show things, these cool little time. And it's just, for me, I'm a creative person like that. And it just really gets involved when you're doing that. And you can take all of that away and just get right straight to what you're looking to do with this sort of thing.
That's why live is a perfect scene for these types of things, because you get the raw edited things. And so many people, I'm just ranting now, but so many people I find myself watching people now that are making videos and are also doing live. And that's because I want to see the meat and bones of the project. I don't want to see the polished video and not get the behind the scenes. And that's why I'm watching people now that are doing things on a live stream where I can ask questions about the process and things, and then I can watch a polished video about the end product. That's or the end result. That's fun. But yeah, so I think you need to get on the Heirloom Expo and get them to do. You need to do a panel of people in the industry, and we need to have like an influencer panel at the Heirloom Expo.
Man, you've taken it. It's literally on my wall. And it is the conversation I am having with Jer here in just a few weeks. Believe me, this is going to be something. If I can't kind of like wrangle something together this year anyways, because I've already talking with a couple of people who I'm going to be meeting down there and stuff. So we are trying to work on something. Last year, my issue with doing like any sort of live from there was trying to figure out, because it was new for Baker Creek as well. It was a new venue and a new place. So we were all trying to figure out what we could do to get good Wi-Fi or internet to be able to do that sort of thing from there. I think we probably got a better situation this year. So hopefully I'm going to be able to put together a couple of, one live show for sure. And then some cool interviews and some pieces that I can kind of cut up and maybe make a part of the show as we move forward after that as well too.
Awesome.
But yeah, this is right out of my mind, man. You pulled that right out of my mind. Because I thought, how cool would it be to have kind of a live panel live stream for Let's Get Growing? I mean, that would just be amazing. And
I'll book tickets right away, and we make sure that Khang joins us.
let's make it a deal, and we'll get you guys on stage for next year's Heirloom Exposition, and we can all hang out in Los Angeles together.
Those, I mean, most of us can't see the expo, so we're kind of like living through you, so it's very exciting.
That's awesome. Yeah, exactly. And those sort of things too. I mean, in the expo being one, there's the Northwest Flower and Garden Show as well too. There's a couple of East Coast ones too. And like this whole dream idea is, if this ever got like successful enough to where I could start doing things, I would love to go and do like those sort of things, do live shows from these garden things. And be able to pull people in and have conversations, do panels, all that sort of stuff. But I think there's so much we can do with this whole idea. I've got ideas that are crazy. We could do this show almost 5 days a week with the ideas I've got. But like I said, I don't know if I can do that. But it certainly would be fun. I mean, if you could do something and this is just what you do, and you could just talk about and help people learn about gardening through conversations with other awesome gardeners. Man,
I can do the
yes, exactly.
Reporting from the floor.
Yeah.
Like Chris was saying, it's a great thing what you're doing, because you're able to bring in these really good gardening people with amazing advice, and everyone has their strength in something, And so a lot of the times when I watch your show, I can't watch it live, so I watch it while I'm doing something, while I'm driving, And there's a lot of information that is so valuable that you can get out of there, because that everyone you interview has something to provide to maybe to the community. So exactly, it's great to hear them and learn stuff from them.
Yeah. And then again too, as well too, is that, I mean, there are a lot of great live streams out there, a lot of great gardeners doing some cool live streams. One of my favorites right now, if you guys haven't checked it out, and I know you're down in Texas right now, Khang, Destin does the Texas Garden Guy does a podcast or a live stream called the Garden Party Podcast. And he's just a fun guy, and he has a little bit of fun with that. And so, again, too, that's a little plug for him, for everybody out there too, if you want to go see another cool live stream out there too, though. But there's a lot of great ones out there. But the one thing I do, and again, I have a little bit of pride in, and maybe I don't want anybody to think I'm gloating or anything, but I do have some pride in the fact that I've made some really great relationships with some really great gardeners out there, and I've gotten to meet and know some really, really awesome people who have some great knowledge about stuff throughout the whole gardening community. And like you were mentioning, Chris, that's Instagram, that's TikTok, that's YouTube, that's Facebook, that's all over the place. Authors who are writing books, radio show hosts who are doing radio shows, PBS. We had Joe Lampel on a few weeks ago, and he's been doing it. He had a award-winning PBS series, Growing a Greener World. This guy had one of the best gardening television shows out there that people could watch, and we were so fortunate to have him on to talk about stuff. So again, okay, enough of that, because I just feel like I'm gloating, and we're gloating about what we're doing here and all of that sort of stuff. But again, I am proud, though, when it comes down to it. This is a great show. Right. Yeah. And I'm proud of everybody else too. All of this audience that follows along with me every single weekend and comes in here. You guys are just amazing too. And to do this with great friends like you guys, Khang and Chris, is just so inspiring and so awesome. And again, too, I'm just looking forward to this next conversation. We could talk all day. I'm telling you, we're already over our 2-hour limit here. So you know what I mean? But I can sit and talk to you guys all day long, and I'm looking forward to getting you guys booked up here again too. We'll find a date here real soon and get you guys back in a few weeks, and hopefully here like we mentioned too, I like to get you back on here actually real soon, talk about that new channel and all of that sort of stuff as well, Chris, because I think that's really great, and I want to encourage you along too, because your content is amazing, absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
So you guys are giving me compliments. Khang, again, too, longtime influencer of mine. I mean, my garden is what it is today because of a lot of what you've helped me out with as well too. So thank you guys.
The first and the largest.
That is right. Exactly. Right on, guys. Well, we're going to go ahead and end it for today for this conversation. But again, I look forward to seeing all of you guys here real soon back on the show. Again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
You got it, guys. Let's Get Growing is sponsored by IV Organic.
Hi, my name is Charles Malky, biologist and plant expert with IV Organics, where we grow cool plants, and author, Saving the World with the Home Garden. IV Organic 3-in-1 Plant Guard has 7 natural oils that protect your plants, not just from the summer heat as well as winter cold, but also protects your plants from damaging insects and rodents. The oils in the product include castor, cinnamon, clove, garlic, peppermint, rosemary, and spearmint. These oils are natural insect and rodent repellent oils, which are encapsulated by the base powder, offering your plants months of protection at a time. 1 application per year will suffice for protection against damaging summer sunburn and winter sun scald, but if the target is pests, application as much as 2 to 3 times a year may be necessary.
Oh, we got to change. I got to be working the behind the scenes here right now, keeping up with what we're going. But anyways, what a great conversation. Another just, again, fun, informative, just digging into all sorts of things and growing, and ultimately just talking about the fun and passion that we have for gardening and growing. And that's just really one of the great things, like we were talking about there at the end about doing this show, and really is just thank you everybody for just being so awesome and coming here and joining in with this conversation. And it's like I like to always say to everybody too, is that like, subscribe, and share. Definitely share. Get more people. Let's help build this audience and get more people here for these conversations. We are having some amazing gardening conversations, and we know that there are tons and tons of amazing gardeners out there who would love to find out about this show. So we got to get the word out there, and I appreciate everything that you all do to help us do that, for sure. That is just again, I could talk to them all day. So much fun. I get so hyped up about these gardening conversations towards the end of the show. And in the long run, I just want to keep talking and going about it too. But again, we just kind of ran over today. So I just really want to go over real quick here too, and just let everybody know, definitely go back and check out last week's Sunday edition of the show. It was the third Sunday of the month, and it was our gardening book club with Karen Hugh and her book, Leave Your Troubles Behind. This was a really great conversation. This was just a really, really wonderful book. So definitely go back and check out that episode last Sunday, as well as go out and check out the new book for our next gardening book club, which will be September 15th, the third Sunday of September. We'll have Marta McDowell joining with us to talk all about all the presidents' gardens and all the different historical gardens throughout the different presidencies throughout American history. So this is a really fun book. I've been really kind of enjoying getting into it right now, and I can't wait to get together with all of you, with Marta too. Again, just a fun book club. This is probably one of the real fun things we've been doing, because it involves books. I love books. It involves my good friend Mark Boucher Colbert. He loves books, and together we both love gardening. And this is just an amazing opportunity for both of us to get together, have a fun conversation with just another amazing author of another great book. So definitely come and check that out with us. Also, go check out yesterday's show we were talking about, and I mentioned earlier, featuring our good friend John Kohler from Growing Your Greens on YouTube, and another just fun, really great conversation with my good friend John, and lots and lots and stuff to learn and understand and all of that. We talk also a little bit about his talk that he's going to have at the upcoming Heirloom Exposition, and hopefully we'll get together with him and have a fun conversation about that as well here in a few weeks as well too. So that's really great. That's what we've got going on today. I hope all of you have been enjoying the show, and like I mentioned just a minute ago, please click the thumbs up, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, hit the bell for notification to be notified of upcoming episodes and live streams. Let's Get Growing shows, and share with all of your friends. And also too, I do want to mention one more time that we do have our Facebook group, the Let's Get Growing Gardening group. This is a great place for you guys to go and join with us and share some pictures or video of your gardens and what you've got growing on, so I can see all of the great things that you have in your gardens too. I love checking out those gardens. I love hearing from you, seeing all of your cool posts and everything that people bring to our great gardening group. So definitely go down in the description below and check that out for that link to the Facebook group, and then come join us there. Check out all of our other links to all of our other things, and especially some links to both Khang Starr's channel and Christopher's channel as well too. If you haven't subscribed to them, please go do that. And one last thing, I do want to try to remember to mention this as well too, because this is something we can do really as kind of an appreciation for all of these great guests coming to spend a little bit of time with us and talk about their gardens and their gardening is that they've got channels, they've got social media, they're out posting things, they're out making videos. So if we go over there and we subscribe, like, share, do those sort of things, but even better is to go over and leave a comment on a post, leave a comment on a video, leave a comment on something that they've put out recently, and let them know that you saw them here on the Let's Get Growing show. That would just be so awesome, so amazing. And again, thank you all so much for all that you do here, and all that you spend all your time here with us on the weekends and everything. And just remember, we are here every Saturday and Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time each and every weekend with really great guests. And I look forward to seeing all of you next Saturday.